Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular council meeting of December 12th, 2023. Can I please have the roll call, clerk?
Chair Sidney.
Present.
Revimo.
Present.
Councillor Agree.
Present.
Councillor McWhirter.
Present.
Councillor McDonald.
Present.
Councillor Sobalski. Councillor Ndajik. Mayor Sidney, we have quorum.
Thank you very much. As we gather, we would like to acknowledge on behalf of Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for the rich history, and we are extremely grateful for the many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all of the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Can I please have you stand for O Canada? Thank you. Any declaration of interest? Hearing and seeing none. Moving on to presentations, delegation announcements, announcements and community events. I just want to announce that today I was fortunate enough to attend the Renfrew County inaugural swearing in of the new warden, and it was great to see that our Reeve Emo is still the warden, and he sent on some thanks to town staff and to town council and appreciates all the stuff that we've done to support him, and looking forward to working with him over the next year as his role as warden. And I do believe he is the most, right? Yeah. So he's sat as warden the most in county history. So we're really proud and lucky to have him on our team. And I don't know if you're going to say something later when you get into reports. Oh, yeah. Moving on to C2. Anybody else have community announcements? Councillor Legree?
Through you, Mayor Sidney. On Thursday, November 30th, I was invited to the grand opening of SLS Millworking at their new location at 35 Opiongo Road, which is the old Renfrew Mercury building. The place looks great. They have showroom and everything set up, so I just want to thank Tim and Lindsay for the invite.
Wonderful. Anything else? All right. Moving on to C2, hotel feasibility study. We're lucky enough to have a delegation presented by Charlie Shee, Managing Director of HVS, and Lucas Bruce, Associate of HVS, on a hotel feasibility study. So, gentlemen, welcome. I appreciate you coming, and we'll hand it over to you for your presentation.
Thank you for having us.
Lucas, are you going to share your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Lucas sets us up. Thank you for having us here. I thought before we get into the analysis, I just want to give the council a bit of background of who we are and what we have done before I hand it over to Lucas to present our findings. So HVS used to stand for Hotel Valuation Services, but we are a global consulting and evaluation firm that specializes in hospitality projects, and hotels is the only asset class that we focus on. So we have over 50 offices across the globe, and Lucas and I are both located in Toronto. So we've been tasked by the town of Renfrew to assess the local market needs for hotel accommodation, Corporation, and we're here to present our preliminary findings. So over the last few months, Lucas and I have been interviewing select local employers, hoteliers, and representatives of other demand generators. So Lucas, please go to the next slide and continue.
Thank you, Charlie. So in establishing the need for a hotel, we look at what will generate demand for that hotel, and we typically look at this in three different segments. We have our transient leisure, which is our recreational travel, and a lot of the times this travel is booked through agencies and also directly through the hotel website. And then we have transient corporate, which is your individual business people, local businessmen, or people traveling to local businesses in the area. And then we have our group demand, our meeting and group demand. And so when we look at transient leisure demand, Renfrew is lucky to benefit from year-round demand generators. We have Calabogie, so in the winter there's skiing, snowmobiling, and then in the summer there's the racetrack, there's the Whitewater region, there's lots of golf courses in the area, and there's a fully accredited hospital that receives a lot of demand as well as the Algonquin Trail. And then we look at the corporate segment. Renfrew has a rich history in manufacturing. We were fortunate enough to interview a number of the local players in the market, Scapa Tape being one of them. We also interviewed hockey teams, everyone in the area who would need a hotel. But when we look at the corporate demand in our projections, this will be supported a lot by the twinning of Highway 7, which will bring a lot of corporate demand from Petawawa, Pembroke, through the extra lanes on the highway. And then we look at our group demand, and Renfrew has a large need for, or a large hockey team presence. Interviewing the Junior A hockey team, they need a lot of room nights, and a lot of the times those room nights go to other places. There's also social events that are popular, and then we have the Madway Center, which will be expanding as of summer 2024. In looking at the competitive supply, in Renfrew, there is only one hotel product, and that is the Days Inn. Currently, that product is very dated, and as of right now, our understanding is it is accommodating non-traditional hotel demand. In Pembroke and in Calabogie, there are superior products. In Calabogie, this product focuses mainly on that leisure segment. And in Pembroke, there's a Best Western there that has the only large event space in the area, and some other relatively new products like the Holiday Inn Express that opened recently, or in 2014. And then in Arnprior, there's a Quality Inn as well. So in assessing this, there is definitely an absence of high quality hotel supply in Renfrew. In looking at the historical trends, supply increased in 2020 from the opening of the Calabogie Peaks Resort. Prior to this, no supply has entered the market since 2014 when the Holiday Inn Express opened. Historical occupancy levels have hovered around that mid 50% range, and there has been modest rate growth, which is attributed to the lack of high quality products that would put upward pressure on rates. The market registered a strong recovery in 2022, surpassing that 50% of occupancy, even with the addition of the new supply that came into the market in 2020. Looking at the year to date through May, when we were engaged to do this study, you can see that in 2023, the rate and the occupancy has continued to grow. So in forecasting the market-wide occupancy, this is what the hotel occupancy will function off of. But in looking at the historical trends again, as with the rest of the country, there was a sharp decline in 2020 due to the pandemic. However, Renfrew, unlike the urban centers in Ontario and across Canada, had a great rebound in 2021 and again in 2022. Although demand itself recovered in 2022, the overall occupancy is expected to recover in 2025 on account of the new supply that came into the market. We see a lot of growth potential in the meeting and group segment, particularly through the Mattaway Center. There's an annual conference that, to our understanding, that will take place each year. On top of hockey team demand, which as of right now, our understanding is accommodated in Canada most of the time and up in Pembroke. Furthermore, we think that the subject hotel will induce a significant amount of demand into the area. And induced demand is a form of what we call latent demand. And essentially what it is when a new demand generator enters the market, it'll essentially bring demand into the market with it. The Mattaway Center is an example of this, the highway expansion is an example of this, and the proposed hotel is an example of this. So all of these different forms of demand are incorporated into our market projections. On the bottom half of this chart, we look at the market segmentation mix, and as well as the changes in supplies. So we see the majority of the demand coming from commercial sources, mainly from the industrial park, which should receive a lot of growth following the expansion, similar to what happened in Arnprior when the highway was twinned to there. And we say the market will stabilize in 2029 at an occupancy of around 59%, which is above any historical level. So we recommend, our understanding is there was 3 potential sites for the hotel, and we believe that the location on O'Brien Road, just off of Highway 17, will be the most efficient area to put the hotel. Firstly, there's supporting amenities. There's a smart center across the street and a mall with shopping and restaurants, as well as being in close proximity to the industrial park. Additionally, following the twinning of the Highway 7, this will be a major source of demand in Renfrew as the corporate landscape begins to expand and businesses begin to ramp up. Furthermore, with the twinned highway, we believe that a lot of the corporate demand will be pulled from areas like Pembroke, Petawawa, and Arnprior. The only reason they aren't currently is, one, due to the lack of accommodation, and the highway is not twinned yet. And then the Mattaway Center. Starting next year, there will be large conferences each summer, and as of right now, there is no place for the attendees of those conferences to stay. So we expect the hotel to capture a lot of that demand as well. In summary, in looking at the locations on O'Brien Road with the supporting amenities that are nearby, the new product, which the market hasn't seen in quite some time, which will be more favorable than at least any other products in Arnprior and Renfrew, but we believe also in Petawawa and Pembroke, along with the major projects like the Twinned Highway and the Mattaway Center, will support the growth throughout our period. So we say that the hotel will take 3 years to reach its stabilized level of operation. And in our first year, we will have an occupancy of 59%, an average rate of $176, which will lead to a revenue per available room, or RevPAR, of $104.04. The property is expected to ramp up to a stabilized year in 2029 with a revenue per available room of $120. We note that both the occupancy and the rate are above market figures, supported by those major projects and the brand new product. Some recommendations for the hotel. We think that it would be best fit to have an internationally recognized mid-scale or upper mid-scale brand, such as a Comfort Inn, Best Western, Microtel by Wyndham, Park Inn by Radisson, or an Avid Hotel by IHG. We recommend a room count of 65 rooms as to not oversaturate the market and cause the market-wide demand and occupancy to drop too much. And facilities that the hotel should include should be complimentary breakfast, indoor swimming pools, fitness rooms, business centers, vending areas, and a pantry. These sorts of facilities are geared towards your transient corporate and your teams that will help drive people through the door in the shoulder seasons and the low seasons. And that's it from us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That, I think, is a very welcomed presentation. Just for a little bit of clarification, just so people don't get confused, it is Highway 17, not Highway 7.
Sorry. Yes.
Just because there is a Highway 7 not too far from here, so I don't want people to get confused on that. Any questions from council? Revimo?
Thank you. Was there a consideration to track? Thank you very much for the presentation and the study. Very informative. And I'm curious, was there any consideration given to the Highway 60 corridor as it leads over to Bracebridge and Muskoka area and Algonquin Park? There's a lot of traffic in the October-November timeframe for leaf tours, but there's a number of people come to the area to hike through there, and I'm just wondering if there's any consideration given to that traffic and what it would mean to the business.
Well, we have taken into consideration the Algonquin Trail itself, and a lot of that demand that falls kind of south of Algonquin and Calabogie as well, in the four-wheeling and the outdoors. Directly that corridor, not necessarily, but a lot of the demand that comes from there, it's specific mainly to Algonquin and the surrounding areas. So we think that there are hotels that are closer to that corridor that may capture some of that demand, but we think that the main areas where there's room for capture is from the Madway Center and from the Twin Highway.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Hearing none. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I think this is going to be a very welcomed study in our community, and I think people are going to be really happy for it, and we appreciate your time and efforts on it, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, before we move on, council, I would like to request a unanimous consent to move D.6.2, the report on the hotel feasibility study, if we could move it up to next and have Manager Charbonneau do her presentation. Do I have unanimous consent to do that? Great, thank you, council. I will now technology. The Renfrew Town Council accept the preliminary data for the proposed hotel and Renfrew study. Furthermore, that Renfrew Town Council directs staff to proceed in finalizing a hotel study with the data as presented. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor McWhirter. I will turn it over to Manager Charbonneau for her report.
Thank you, Mayor. So as we just saw through the detailed presentation, there are a number of data sets that led to the proposed type of hotel in Renfrew. Most importantly, for economic development and growth is that there is feasibility, there is a need for it in our community and in our region. So that's a very good thing for us growth-wise. In 2022, staff engaged in obtaining a feasibility study after conversations with developers saying that it was a key tool that they require in order to consider developing in Renfrew. So we are very happy to see this finally come to fruition, and with the welcome relevant data that was presented here tonight. So thank you again to the consultants. Again, this report is just to outline what you just saw and formalize the acceptance of the preliminary data as accepted. And I would like to note that these are valuable contributions to our growth toolkit. This data is needed to attract developers. This will be something we certainly will use, and that will be a definite piece of literature that we can then pass on, and it just helps speed up the development process and ascertain our feasibility and prove it, not only by saying, yeah, we have all these wonderful things going on, but we have professionals who have put in writing in a very articulate document that we are serious about having development of a hotel in Renfrew. The report is looking to get your approval tonight so we can then proceed in having the final study drafted, which will simply include the data sets as seen today, but a more articulate version of the methodology, who they engaged with to get to their findings, and what that means for developers. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, through you, Mayor. What are we looking at for potential timelines with regard to once the study is completed afterwards, moving out from there?
So that's really up to developers in consultation with HVS. We've made a strategy on, how to best go about that. HVS themselves doesn't do it, but they can equip myself and my team with the appropriate tools and contacts to move forward in, essentially going after developers and saying, hey, great community, we have all our ducks in a row. Let's talk. So it should be noted we were in consultation with a developer who was very interested, who led us down this path. So that takes time, understandably so, staff changeover, so on and so forth. I'm hopeful we'd be able to enter into some serious discussions in the new year.
Any other questions from council? Review?
Just back to the study itself. 2026, on the forecast of market-wide occupancy, did I miss something? Why is it such a bulge? Is that if we approve this today, they're sort of suggesting it might be built by then, and that's going to cause a blip in the market?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Hearing none. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. Thank you, Manager Charbonneau. Moving on to Development, Environment, and Engineering. Councillor McDonald, do you have something you'd like to say before we quickly?
Thank you, Mayor, through you. The Development, Environment, and Engineering Committee met this past Tuesday, the 5th of December at 10 a.m. This meeting was recorded and can be viewed in its entirety on the Town of Renfrew YouTube channel. As a quick recap, Reeve Emo, Councillor McWhirter, and myself were involved with the following. We had the monthly update, status on near completion of many Town of Renfrew projects, the history regarding the landfill site, to support amendment to Legislation Act 2006 to allow for digital publication, which will be coming up later. Under the environment, we had a discussion with regard to tree planting program, drinking water, audit with regard to a pass, and the agreement regarding light collection. We noted that we had recommended approval for all of them. Two items coming directly tonight that we weren't able to discuss was a joint solid waste collection tender and the Whitten Road realignment. So the committee was bypassed just to so that they expedite the process of coming up. So thank you, Mayor, and back to you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to D.2.1. That Renfrew Town Council support the Township of McKellar Resolution number 23-671, requesting that the provincial government make an amendment to the Legislation Act of 2006 to include digital publication as an acceptable means of publication and notice requirements for provisional acts and regulations. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Legree. Any discussions on this? Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. On to D.2.2. That Renfrew Town Council accept the report as information from DWQMS External Audit Report, and this is for drinking water quality management systems from an external audit. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor McWhirter. And anybody? Amanda? None? Any questions on this? Hearing none. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, council. D.2.3, tree planting. Sorry, my computer just froze there for a second. Tree planting program proposal with Forest Ontario. The Renfrew Town Council include a tree planting program in partnership with Forest Ontario in the 2024 budget at a value of $17,460. Mover, please. Councillor McWhirter, seconded by Councillor Legree. Turn it over to Amanda for a report.
Thank you, Mayor. So the staff have been in discussion with Forest Ontario, which is a not-for-profit organization that does tree planting initiatives and forest sustainability initiatives, and has been a great partner to municipalities, including the city of Guelph, in their Take Root program, which they started last year. So we have reached out to them about doing a Take Root tree planting program in the town of Renfrew for next year, looking at a bit of a smaller scale, about 100 trees to start, and see how that goes for our first year. It is note here that Forest Ontario would also provide us with some support in terms of the registration and selecting the right tree, and having some staff from Forest Ontario here when we were distributing the trees to do, planting techniques and tree care information, giving that out to the residents and showing them how to do it, as well as showing our own staff how to do it, so that we can do it further on. The proposal that is in front of you now is for trees that are considered a 1 to 2 gallon stock. So they're something in the range of 2 to 4 feet in height. Since discussing this at committee, we have gone back to Forest Ontario and looking at possibly maybe some larger trees, looking at the prices to that, something more in the 5-foot range, especially if they're going to be in the front yard. There was some concerns with maybe it's like snowplow damage, because Guelph gets a lot less snow and we're a lot further north, they're not quite as used to working with communities further north on urban tree planting. So that was a concern. So that might change a little bit, but I think we have some flexibility in what we ask for from Forest Ontario. And there's also the option to implement a small fee to the residents. That's something that they recommended doing, just because it puts a little bit more ownership onto the person that's planting the tree. Right now we're looking at a backyard or side yard, front yard, like a private property planting program, with the option of possibly moving that into the right-of-way, depending on the location, and more specifics with underground utilities and things like that. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions from council? I just have one quick one. So just for clarification, this is for people's private property. If they're interested to get a tree, they reach out. We work with that and do that. Is that something that, is it common for communities to engage the residents to increase tree population on their property, and it's not on town property kind of a thing, like the difference?
Yeah, through you, Mayor. You'll see that there is an attachment to this report that gives a number of examples of other municipalities that have done tree planting programs, and there's lots of different ways that they've done that. Some of them are backyard tree programs like this, where it's sort of on your own property. Some of them are requested tree programs, where you request a tree for the front of your house on the municipal right-of-way. There's the other programs that you do more like a request in a park or things like that. So there's lots of different options. I'm thinking for 2024, let's just get some trees in the ground, and from there we can fine tune it if it's a popular program that we want to keep doing.
Yeah, perfect. I just wanted to make sure that people knew that it was in their backyard kind of a thing. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. I just don't want to interfere with local businesses and nurseries. So how can we ensure that we're going to support local if we move ahead with this plan?
As I think I mentioned at committee, that to get the best price, we would want to use Forest Ontario supplier, which is a nursery in Kemptville. It's a little bit more expensive to do it locally, but there is another project, tree planting project, that is being considered for the budget for Veterans Memorial Boulevard, which I have engaged some local vendors to get pricing on that, and they've been super helpful in terms of species. So, yes.
Thank you. Just to follow up, so then that's where you're talking about where we're going to potentially get the trees from. That's their supplier for Forest Ontario? Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Legray?
Through you, Mayor Sidney. Just to confirm, sorry, how many trees were we buying? 100? So I'm just looking at this, I don't know if this is like I guess the city of North Bay, with a population of 53,000 got 100. I'm just wondering if we should try starting with 50 or something, because we're a population of like 8,000. I don't know, like, they're ordering 100 for a population of 53,000. I don't know if that makes a difference, or is it? I don't know what your thought is.
I can answer that. So you will see also in one of the attachments, the Forest Ontario proposal does have a 50-tree option. It's much more cost-effective to go with 100 because a lot of the cost comes from like the administrative part of it and like having the training and that part. Certainly, we're also, like I said, it's the most cost-effective way to get trees, and I definitely, if we don't have 100 people interested, I have places where I can plant trees. I've already had some requests over the last year for tree planting on like town property. So I believe 100 trees is a good start, and I do believe there's going to be demand. And I know the North Bay program, I used to live in North Bay, is very popular and sells out every year.
Perfect. No, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions, council? All in favor? Carried. Any opposed? D.2.4 Product Care Association Light Collection. That Renfrew Town Council authorize the entering into an agreement with Product Care Association for the collection of lights at the Household Hazardous Waste Depot. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Legree. And I will turn it over to our Environment Officer, please.
Sure thing. At the Household Hazardous Waste Depot, we collect lights for recycling, and this is just a formal agreement to get some compensation for that. Based on my estimates, it'd be about $300 to $350 a year that we would receive in compensation for the collection of lights. It's something that we do already, and it wouldn't be any difficulty to continue to do that, and just the difference now is we're getting paid a little bit to do it.
Great. Any questions on that? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. Moving on to D.2.5, the award of joint solid waste collection tender. The Renfrew Town Council approved the award a 5-year contract with the option of 2 one-year extensions for the collection of solid waste in the town of Renfrew to Tops Environmental Solutions, 803836 Ontario Inc., and the amount of $345,089.57, including HST for the first year of service, with subsequent years subject to CPI adjustments, and further that should the volume discount criteria be met, that a $20,000 annual volume discount be applied. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, second by Councillor Legree. And I will turn it over to manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So the town did a joint tender for our solid waste collection with the town of Armpire and the township of McNabb-Braeside. It's a 5-year contract with an optional of 1 2-year extensions, or 2 1-year extensions, sorry about that. So the tender was written to include the same level of service as we're currently seeing, but there was an addition of a provisional item for large volume collection at the Mattaway Activity Center, the town garage, and One Innovation Drive, which are currently either directly dealing with their garbage or have dumpsters there already through other suppliers. The tender was structured that it allowed the bidders to bid on one or all of the municipal contracts, and we requested that they provide a annual discount if they were to be awarded all 3 municipalities. And staff at the town of Armpire and township of McNabb-Braeside are also recommending the tender to Tops Environmental Solutions, and I believe it has gone to their councils, but I didn't get that confirmed. So the town of Renfrew received 3 bids for this tender, and the prices that are provided here include HST, and they also have been adjusted due to some mathematical errors in the tender submissions, and that adjustment was reviewed by our legal team and our treasury team and in consultation with the bidders. So you can see here the different prices, and although that TOPS was not the lowest bid. We are recommending award to TOPS to align with our partner municipalities. And overall, awarding all 3 contracts to TOPS is the most efficient and cost-effective as a whole of the group. It also will result in some efficiencies in a contract management perspective. And given the fact that we have worked with them for the last 7 years, they know the routes, they know the community. There'll be absolutely no issues with the transfer of it into this new contract. They are also doing recycling till at least 2026 and possibly beyond that. And they're just, like I said, very familiar with our community and have been doing a fairly good service for the industry in the last 7 years. So that is our recommendation.
Thank you. Any questions from council? I do believe it's a good idea to stick with TOPS just because, like as you said, with the, lining up with the other municipalities, and they are here and they do our weekly stuff, so it makes sense to me. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. Moving on to D.2.6, the Whitten Road realignment MTO coordination. The Renfrew Town Council approved the entering into an attached draft work by others, WBO agreement from MTO to partner in the realignment of Whitten Road to Innovation Drive Stage 1, environmental assessment and preliminary engineering. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor McWhirter. And I will turn it over to Acting Director Aslan and Director Withers, whoever wants to. Director Aslan?
Sure, I'll start through the, thank you, Mayor Sidney. The town staff have been working on this project with the MTO for approximately 1 year, and the project started by the MTO trying to finalize their design of the intersection, or the interchange of Highway 17 and O'Brien Road. And as was mentioned at the committee today, they were concerned about having a ramp coming from the eastbound new Highway 417 on O'Brien, and it would create a conflict with Whitten Road because the ramp would basically extend out to the intersection of Whitten Road and cause conflicts. So they were proposing a stop control on the ramp, so you would essentially come off Highway 17 onto the eastbound ramp, and you'd have to stop at O'Brien Road and then make a right-hand turn, where currently that movement enjoys a ramp and it functions very well. So as staff, we kind of contested that and set forth a solution that we would work with the ministry to seek the approval of the closure of Whitten Road. And if Whitten Road was closed at O'Brien, there would be an interconnection of Innovation Road that would be required to run to Whitten Road, which provides an opportunity for the town to actually open up the industrial lands and provide servicing to the parcels of land owned in that quadrant. And so we see that there was a mutual benefit for the MTO and the town to close Whitten Road and then to build this extension from Innovation to Whitten, and we would coordinate our services within that corridor, and it would be a win-win for both parties. So the MTO entertained a proposal that the town prepared, and the proposal has been passed through our council to gain support. And the MTO was intrigued and very much liked the project as a whole. And there was a delegation actually to the Ministry of Transportation at one of the conferences where the councillors met with staff and found that they had a really good reception of this concept. So to undertake this, it's not part of any connecting link program with the MTO. So the MTO would be required to enter into a work by others agreement with the town. And just recently we did receive a copy of the work by others agreement from MTO. And in reading through it, it very much mirrors our proposal that we set forth with all the terms, where the ministry would pay 71.4% of the environmental assessment and preliminary design, and the town would pay 28.6% of that project. So the project would be done in 2 stages. The first stage is doing the environmental assessment and preliminary design. And once that stage is complete, then we'd have all the public input to support the closure of Whitten Road. And we'd also have enough design detail in the preliminary design to be able to cost what the construction would be. Now, our proposal to the ministry did have a stage 2 that committed to construction, and the MTO preferred to stay just with the stage 1 approval for now, and we do the environmental assessment and the preliminary design work. And then once that information was available, then we would take the step 2, which is funding of the construction. And I think at the time of our proposal, we were entertaining the ministry paying up to 90% of the cost of the construction, which was very good for the town. Now, the town would take the lead to project manage this project. So we would have in-kind costs for staff in the engineering department to lead that project and to bring it through its design. The environmental assessment would be coordinated with the transportation master plan, which is currently in progress. So we have deferred the public information center for the transportation master plan. It was supposed to be done in December, but this proposal hadn't been endorsed or accepted by the MTO, so we deferred the transportation master plan public information center into January so that we could coordinate this project with the transportation master plan. The town would be required to cover the cost of 100% of the cost of extensions of water and sewer services into this new connection. One other important part is, Eric has been working with, through a secondary plan to open up those development lands in that quadrant, and that is being coordinated with the transportation master plan and Eric's work with the secondary plan. And overall, we see this as a very good initiative for the town, a good economic development type project, where we work with the ministry to improve safety of their highway, and we benefit by opening up a quadrant of our lands for development and provide some servicing. I think we talked today in a committee meeting about some of those lands being a new site of a multi-municipal building, being town garage and fire protection service center and some other uses there as well. So I think in general it's a very, very good project, and we're hoping that council sees the benefit of endorsing this work by others agreement so that we can go back to the ministry and formalize the execution of the agreement and get on with the project. So, and I'm not sure if Eric has anything to add to the report.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council? All right, thank you. I think this is going to be great and opens up that whole area for future, so I think that's exciting. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you, council.
Okay, thank you very much.
Moving on to D.3, Corporate Finance and HR. Revimo, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Thank you. We met on Tuesday, December the 5th, which was last week. And you see the product of our meeting in front of you, and we, as a committee, endorsed all of these coming forward to council. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to D.3.1, Licensing Review Draft Bylaws and Updates. The Renfrew Town Council postponed the decision to adopt the licensing bylaw amendment until Q1 2024 to allow further consultation with new bylaw enforcement team and review of fines and penalties. Mover, please. Revimo, seconded by Councillor Degree. Any questions or comments on this? Pretty straightforward. All in favor? Thank you, council. On to D.3.2, Strategic Plan Process Update number 5. That Renfrew Town Council receive a final update on the strategic plan process. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor McWhirter. Any discussion?
Just one quick shout out.
Yeah.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I know this has been a long process, and thank you everyone for their patience. I just want to shout out to the document, the draft document, and the the talents of our communication and engagement coordinator, Ruta Cadlick, who did that in-house, and it's a good summation of where we're at, where we're going, and the action items. So the last step will be a public meeting next Tuesday, and then adoption, and then this will form the basis of the corporate plan and hopefully future budgets. So it doesn't just sit there, that we're actually actioning some of these items. But I wanted to point to the attachment and how good it looks, and thanks for that work.
Great. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Thank you, Council. It's carried. Shareholder 2024 promissory note. That Renfrew Town Council authorized the town clerk to provide confirmation to Renfrew Power Generation, Inc., RPG, that the town of Renfrew, as the sole shareholder of the corporation, has no intentions of demanding payment of the promissory note in 2024, and to Renfrew Hydro, Inc., RHI, that the town of Renfrew, as the sole shareholder of the corporation, has no intention of demanding payment of the promissory note in 2024. Mover, please. Revimo, seconded by Councillor Legree. Any questions or comments? Revimo?
The only comment is just to reassure, this is normal practice for the town. It has been since approximately 2000, I believe, when the hydroelectric generating and delivery system was torn apart and made into two separate companies.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Thank you, Council. D.3.4, 2023 capital project update. That Renfrew Town Council accept this report as an update on the 2023 capital projects. Mover, please. Councillor McWhorter, seconded by Councillor McDonald. Any discussion? It was a busy year. Yeah, Revimo?
I think it should be noted that there are 5 schedules for the people when they go online, and each one of them is fairly is well done and outlines some of the projects or equipment that had to be moved to another year. So it's a pretty easy read, and it talks about the need, demonstrates the need and what's going to be purchased and what has been purchased, and then secondly how it's financed. So I think it's a nice document, and it's very compact. So thank you to staff for putting it together.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. D.3.5 property tax and water sewer arrears 2023. That Renfrew Town Council received this report as information regarding 2023 arrears. Mover, please. Councillor Gee, seconded by Councillor McWhorter. Any discussion or questions on this? Revimo?
Yeah, I think it would be in our best interest if we could have the treasurer comment on it, because I think it's actually a good news story in the sense that we're not overrun with debt with people not paying their taxes or water. Thank you.
Treasurer Broom.
Thank you, Mayor Sidney. So this report is done on a semi-annual basis, just to provide council with an update as to where we're at with our tax arrears. As you guys know, our tax billings go out twice a year, once in January and then once in July, with due dates of March, May, August, and October. And our water and sewer billings go out 6 times a year with due dates of February, April, June, August, October, and December. So on an annual basis, the town transfers any unpaid water and sewer arrears to the tax roll to assist with the collection of the arrears. When this occurs, if the outstanding balances on the tax account meets the threshold for starting the tax sale process, then the property will begin the tax sale process to recover any outstanding taxes. If a property were to hit the tax sale process, this would be done either through a public tender or a public auction. There is a process that we follow with the tax sale process, that letters are sent out to homeowners, and it is a last resort tool that we do start the tax sale process. We usually try and engage with the homeowners to enter into like a payment plan to help them So in the report, it kind of gives you a breakdown of what the outstanding arrears were at October 31st. The total outstanding balance was $2,266,924.37. So this is a total reduction from the time of the billing of $7,059,941.79. So this reflects about 75% of the taxes collected as of October 31st. So when comparing this report to the report that was brought to committee back in June, the number of properties that were in the threshold for the tax sale process back then was 44. So to date, the number of properties have been reduced to 18 properties. So we've done a good job of collecting those arrears. It's also worth noting that as of the November 15th payment, the town has approximately 1,000 properties that are on the pre-authorized payment plan. So 853 of those properties, they use our monthly payment plan, and 149 of them use the installment plan, which is they just pay their taxes on the due date, and we withdraw the funds for them. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions, council? Thank you very much for that. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, council. D.3.6, the 2024 summer student positions. The Renfrew Town Council endorsed the 2024 summer student positions for inclusion in the draft 2024 budget. Mover, please. Councillor Degree, second by Councillor McWhorter. Any questions on this? Councillor McWhorter?
So this program is run through, are we still like doing applications to the government for funding for students, I assume? So.
Yes.
Both provincially and federally, and I should just note through you, Mr. Mayor, that we're coordinating it. In the past, different departments applied for different grants. This year, through our compensation finance coordinator, she will be applying. We apply for both the province and the feds, and the team work together, so we're putting in one application on behalf of the town, which I think helps with our success.
Any other questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, council. D.3.7, closed session document distribution, procedural bylaw amendment. That Renfrew Town Council approve an amendment to the procedural bylaw 95-2022 to provide the advanced distribution of closed session material 48 hours in advance and after the meeting. Mover, please. Councillor McWhorter, seconded by Councillor MacDonald. Councillor McWhorter, this is your thing. Is there anything you would like to add?
No, just that I put this motion through to give us a little more time for what we get for closed door sessions. I appreciate the staff and CEO understanding that presenting it when we just go into closed session, you know, we're getting a little, we can't retain that information that well anymore, so we actually need to have it so we can ask the right questions. And because oftentimes you leave it and on your way home you think of two or three more questions that you would have liked to ask. So this just gives council members a chance to have it in front of them and make sure that they've asked all the questions that they want to ask. So I think it's a very good to go ahead with that.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? I just want to comment, thank the clerk and any other staff member that worked on trying to make sure that we do this in a confidential manner, and that because closed session documents are not public, and having us get them 48 hours early is something that we need to respect the confidentiality of, and I appreciate the due diligence that you guys did to make sure it's doable. Any other questions? Revimo?
Thank you. So when I see the adjoining document where it talks about collection of documents and the secure format, so does that format also allow some kind of watermarking, so that should someone print it and it get into other people's hands that we can track where it came from? Or is there a means of, are they not printed there, we can only see them on screen? Can you help me with this, please?
So at this time, we've investigated a means to distribute the documents themselves, which I've been able to discuss with eScribe, which is the company that does, or the programming that we use, I guess, to do our agenda management. We are able to post the material confidentially, and I can have it posted at a certain time and withdrawn at a certain time, but unfortunately I have no way of, at this point, to control when it's in that period that it's posted. So I have not found a secure method at this time on how to watermark or like save distribution, I guess would be. So it can be when it's up for the confidential members that are able to see it, it can be at that time shared, printed, or saved. So I'm still working on a solution.
Councillor Degree.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. So I agree with Councillor McWhirter that, you know, it would be nice to have it 48 hours, and I've been kind of banging this around in my head. And just because of the security right now, there's really not much security to it, and it's very easy to have it put in the wrong hands. So even though I support what you're saying, I can't support this yet until we get some more security measures put to it. So thanks.
Any other questions? Councillor McWhirter.
I'd just like to say to that, Councillor Legree, you could, you know, I understand security, confidentiality, but once you're presented it, it's presented to us at council. I mean, everybody's on their honor here. I mean, I like to think that everybody in this council can be trusted. I don't think that should be questioned. At the same time, once it's presented to us in closed door, there's nothing to stop anybody again from leaking that information. So whether you get it before so you can ask the right questions, or whether you get it during the closed session, you can still leak it either way. So there's still a trust issue that if you're going to get it during the closed door and not say anything, it'd be nice to have it in advance so that you can ask the right questions, and it doesn't have to be continually deferred to another time because you haven't had enough time to actually consider it. And that's where I was going with this. I mean, you can leak it all you want after too, so having it before actually gives council a chance to come up with the right questions at the right time.
So just to clarify, there are ramifications for information when it leaks from closed session. Okay, so to say there is ramifications on that, right? So when information is provided in confidence.
But again, if I get it before, I don't get it till the time of the closed meeting, there's still that opportunity for someone to do that. So to me, getting it before doesn't really, there's no stopgate, because before we actually have a chance to come up with the right questions and have time to review the facts. If you get it during the meeting, you can still, I mean, there's still that risk that someone would do that after. I mean, again, it comes down to trust, right? Is this council trusted or not? So to me, it doesn't make any difference whether I get it before or I get it during the closed session. There's still that opportunity for somebody to leak it. It just comes down to trust. The same as it would be for anybody on town staff. Town staff obviously gets it before we do. So is council the only ones not being can't be trusted, or is it or staff? I mean, it could be leaked anywhere. So it really comes down to trust. I like to think everybody on this council could be trusted, and the same as we give the same respect and trust to staff because they get it before we do. So to me, getting it before just gives us an opportunity to absorb the information and come up with the right questions and to move forward on it and give us the better information. Having it presented when you first sit down and you've got in front of you, and you might, like the last time we had like 20 pages, that's a lot to absorb and come up with all the answers that you want to have. So that really comes down to whether you get it before or after. It doesn't really make any difference. There's still that trust issue that's got to be there. So
thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Degree.
I'll just do a follow-up to that. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I guess for me personally, it's just the fact that it can be printed. Like I can print it and leave it on my desk. The way it's set up now is it's handed out, and yes, I can go out and talk about it after, but I don't have, it's the physical hard copies are handed back in. And that's where I'm just not, like I said, I agree with what you're saying. I'm not comfortable with just voting on it just yet, just because of that aspect. And I think that, you know, hopefully the big 18-page documents are a thing of the past, and it's just one or two things we're dealing with at a time. And I think, you know, we could always move it off to down the road for another week or something, like if we had to get some more information on something enclosed, right? So that's just my thoughts anyway. Sorry.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. Well, to review most points, if there's an ability to watermark or secure, it's something I can still explore. And I'm still, like I said, I've been exploring the options with eScribe to figure out ways to handle that documentation. Again, currently, I can hand you something and take it back, right? So if I can find a way to digitally do that correctly, then that's an option. And again, as you can see by the procedural bylaw that I've amended, like with council's approval, obviously, it's not a matter of, it's a matter of what's available and how we go about doing it in a secure fashion. So not anything against Councilor McWhirter's point. I see the value in having the information and having time to review that. It's just a way of, to speak directly to this report, is a way to have our procedural bylaw match what our intentions are.
Revimo?
Well, I'm getting the impression there's not any hurry to resolve this, and I was wondering if I could make a motion to table it for another time, just to consolidate more information about watermarking and other means of securing it. And I'm not suggesting anyone would leak it deliberately. I might save it to something with an ambiguous title and email it to somebody by accident, because I've done that, not confidential documents, but I've sent the wrong memos on occasion because they have the same date or the same memo too on top, and I don't look fast enough. So, if we could take a little more time just to, and I would probably be the culprit of the first accident, so I would appreciate somebody blocking my ineptness.
So anybody want to second that postponement? Councillor Gray? So we have two or one?
No, the motion to postpone now has been moved and seconded, so you would deal solely with whether or not to postpone.
Okay. Councillor McDonald?
Yeah, a quick question with regard to that. Do we have a timeline? Because I don't want it to be indefinite, if you know what I mean. I'm open to maybe 2 weeks or something like that, because the technology's out there. It's just a matter of us finding what we want to use. Go ahead.
Through you, Mayor Sidney. Okay. Our next council meeting is scheduled, regular meeting of council is scheduled for January 9th, if I'm correct. So it could be postponed till the next regular meeting of council, or we don't have a regular meeting in between then.
Councillor Gray?
Through you, Mayor Sidney, just, January 9th, I just want to make sure that gives you enough time to look into everything, because I know with Christmas and there's 1.5 million things ongoing right now, so I don't know if it's okay with Councillor McDonald, but January 30th maybe, council, just to give the clerk some time to look into it and see what can happen. So
okay, so to report back January 30th. Any other questions? All in favor of that?
For September 30th?
For January 30th? Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Any opposed? Seeing none, that's carried. Thank you, council. Moving on to facilities maintenance and operations. This is coming straight to council. That did not go to committee?
It did go to committee.
Oh, it did go to committee? The Renfrew Town Council not provide winter maintenance on the main roadway of St. Francis Xavier Cemetery on Bruce Street. Sorry about that. Mover. Councillor Gray. Seconder. Councillor McDonald.
Through you, Mr. Chair, since this went to committee, so it went to committee and so just didn't come right to the last council meeting. Acting Director Collins has confirmed that we haven't done any snow removal this season, and we have informed St. Francis Xavier by letter and have not received a response. So just to be clear in terms of we did notify them and we haven't been plowing the driveway.
Thank you. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to D6, Community Services and Economic Development. Carry Food lease extension. That Renfrew Town Council approve entering into a lease extension with Carry Canada Inc., Carry Foods for indoor space at One Innovation Drive and outdoor storage at an abundant town-owned parcel. Mover, please. Councillor McDonald. Councillor agree?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm happy to say that as part of the renewal, we were able to negotiate an increase in rent based on market value. So similar to a recent brand new lease, and this lease extension, we will achieve $7 per square foot in year 5, and allowed kind of the stepping up of what they're currently paying, so some cost certainty. In addition, although the report speaks to a sum of $12,000 a year for the outbuilding, it's actually $15,000, so we were able to negotiate them a little higher because there's some abutting open air space that they'll also be using. And in addition, they'll be paying for the increase in property taxes for the construction of that building that's been on site for a number of years. So we're happy to continue to work with, Ensign Technologies that was the original lease and who is now owned by Carry Food Canada. And we're happy to see that we're going to achieve market rent, and we're being compensated for the additional storage space. The one last point is that the additional storage space has a cement base with a kind of a bubble top. So when the lease ends, we will take ownership of that storage space, and they can take the bubble top should they wish. So there's an additional structure there that's permanent on site that would revert to the town's ownership.
Thank you. Any questions? I'm just happy to see them staying and extending it, and they employ people, and they're a great asset to our community. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you, Council. Moving on to external boards and county reports, I will turn it over to. No, we moved that up. Renfrew County Council summary. I will ask Reeve Emo for a brief report.
Did everybody get that? There's nothing there? Okay, then I won't report on it, because I couldn't find it on mine, so I ran it to my phone real fast, so we'll save it for another month. Thank you.
My apologies. I will ensure that's included on the January 9th agenda.
No problem.
E.2, Medical Officer of Health Report to the Board, November 28, 2023. Reeve Emo, did you want to speak on that?
Thank you. Board, very happy with Dr. Morgenstern, a very dynamic, well-intentioned individual who really cares about the community. He's originally from here and works his tail off, to be quite frank with you. Very quickly, respiratory illness, there's just some press releases about it, concerns over the over illnesses with children and youths aged 0 to 17. You see COVID-19 there's a summary of it that talks about the increase of COVID-19 in our community, and the flu season as well. Immunization, as of November 11th, administered 5,100 doses of COVID-19 vaccine and 2,577 doses of influenza vaccine in mass clinics. RCDHU has dispensed a total of 19,625 doses of influenza vaccine to healthcare partners across Renfrew County and District, and pharmacies continue to be an active channel for the public. And they've administered approximately, the pharmacies as of the 16th of November have administered approximately 6,255 doses of COVID-19. vaccine and 9241 doses of influenza. So they're a valued partner in getting the information out. The first round of grade 7 school immunization clinics for hepatitis B has been, and meningococcal disease and HPV disease have been completed. There were 40 school-based clinics. Healthy environments, the staff is continuing to inspect food establishments and personal service settings and public swimming pools and spas. Health promotion on page 3, it talks about alcohol and health. There's quite an extensive write-up on that. Basically, it's drink less, live more is the tagline for that. And on the last page, you'll notice a substance use collective action planning meeting on September the 19th for community partners with regards to addiction treatment. And it's to design and implement an integrated mobile substance use service in partnership with the existing community withdrawal management system and community paramedics. And so we're hopeful that that will integrate into a high quality but somewhat siloed services that we have in the county. So with that, Your Worship, that's all I'm able to present.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Hearing none. Moving on to F. That Renfrew Town Council confirm the minutes of the regular meeting of council dated November 28, 2023. Mover, please. Councilor Degree, second by Councilor MacDonald. Any questions on the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. Communications and petitions, there's none. Motion of which notice has previously been given. None. Motions requiring suspension of rules of procedures. None. Any notice of motions? Hearing none.
Can we jump to L?
Jump to L?
And come back to K.
Council, okay, we jump to L?
There's nothing in the closed session that needs to be confirmed, so you can do the bylaws. It's fine.
Bylaw 102. Sorry, through you, Mayor Sidney, just noting we need to pull 102, bylaw 102, because the decision was not made at council at this time.
So I will go on to doing the bylaws, not doing 102. The bylaws listed on the agenda of December 12, 2023 be taken as read and passed. 96-2023 Kerry Foods Lease Agreement. 99-2023 Product Care Association Light Agreement. 100-2023 Tops Environmental Services Solid Waste Collection Agreement. 101-2023 Shared Space Lease Agreement for the Ottawa Valley Business Hive. 103-2023 Emergency Management Program. 104-2023 Downtown BIA Amended Bylaw. 105-2023 Tourism Event Grant Policy. And 106-2023 Confirming Bylaw. Any questions on any of these? Mover, please. Review, second by Councillor McWhorter. Again, any more questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Council. And now we go into K, which the Renfrew Town Council convene in closed session with Brady Smith, County of Renfrew, remaining in the room as acting deputy clerk, pursuant to the following sections of the Municipal Act 2021, 2 Section 239B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employee. 2 Section 2239D, labor relations or employee negotiations, more specifically how it relates to CAO 2023 performance appraisal. Mover, please. Councillor Gee, second by Reeve Emo. All in favor? We are now enclosed at 7:16. All right, welcome back, everybody. For anybody that's watching us on YouTube, we're in closed session. The report from closed session is that council discussed the 2023 performance appraisal of CAO Tremblay and has given direction to Revimo to continue on with the finalizing of his performance appraisal. Moving on to upcoming meetings of council and standing committees. Special council meeting December 19th, 2023 at 10 a.m. The Mattaway third-party review. Special council meeting December 19th, 2023 6 p.m. Tabling of the 2024 draft budget. Special corporate finance and HR standing committee December 20th, 2023 at 10 a.m. Presentation of the 2022 audited financial statements, CAO's 2023 performance appraisal, 2023 draft corporate plan. Regular council meeting January 9th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Development, Environment and Engineering Standing Committee January 2nd, 2024 at 10 a.m. for the 2024 budget. Corporate Finance and HR Standing Committee January 2nd, 2024 at 2 p.m. Facilities Maintenance and Operations Standing Committee January 9th, 2024 at 2 p.m. Fire and Emergency Protective Standing Committee January 16th, 2024 at 10 a.m. and Community Services and Economic Development Standing Committee January 16th, 2024 at 2 p.m. and they're all on the budget. And with that, council, we are adjourned at 8:17. Thank you very much.